I want to do is I want to show you real quickly how you can take your custom fin design for your Viking rocket and how you're going to bring it into OnShape. There unfortunately isn't a really direct way you can do this, but there's a way that you can do it if you want to copy your fins exactly as you designed them in the rocket simulator. So what we're going to do is you've got your rocket open here. I'm going to go into the freeform fin set and I'm going to edit that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the shape, and this is the basic shape that I start out with. So as I'm sure, been made aware, you can adjust the shape of your fins and you can see the corresponding changes in the rocket right there. So I'm just going to make a kind of a weird shape here. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add another point here just to show you if you click on that line, you can just add any point that you want and you can make the fin look like anything that you desire. So this would be my custom fin shape. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up OnShape, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in. So I just sign in using the same OnShape user that I used when I was on my Chromebook. So I'm going to sign in. Mine remembers mine because I've signed in on this computer before, but you're going to just use probably your school login that you use when you set up your OnShape account. And you're going to sign in. And then I'm going to create a new document. And I'm going to call this Viking Fins, just for my own reference. And as it opens up this document, I'm now going to create a sketch that is going to be the fins that I wanted to do there. So I'm going to click on Sketch. I'm going to click on the front panel. And then I'm going to square that up so that I can see it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my point tool right here. And what I want to do with the point tool is I'm going to place those points that the fins are at. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place one point at the origin. And that's because if I go back to Open Rocket, you can see that I'm starting out with one point that has an x-coordinate and a y-coordinate of 0, 0. Now, of course, these aren't in millimeters, these are in centimeters. It would be too convenient if they were in the right unit. So what I'm going to have to do, if these are all in centimeters, I have to multiply those values by 10 in order to get the correct coordinates for millimeters. So this first point is at 0, 0, so I don't need to move that in OnShape. The next point, and if I just slide this over, I can do this pretty conveniently. I'm going to place it at 31.3 and 17.1. Again, I multiply both those values by 10, and that's referring to this point. So they move left to right as I go across on my points here, so I'm going to plot that point next. So I'm going to take that point, I'm going to place a point somewhere here in the OnShape sketch, and then what I have to do is I have to dimension this. So to dimension it, remember I use this tool right here, and what I have to do first is I have to say, okay, that point, if I measured it from the y-axis here, if I click that, I get this measurement right here that says, right now it's 19.4. What I want it to be is 31.3. So I'm going to type in 31.3, and now that plots that. Now that's dimensioned it left and right, but now what I need to do is I need to dimension it vertically as well. So I'm going to click that point and then click the x-axis, and I want that dimension to be 17.1. And so now that point is exactly where I want it. So I'm going to do that for all 5 of my points here. So the next one would be this point right here. That's going to have a 38.9 away from the y-axis and 45.5 away from the x-axis. So I'm going to place that point. And again, I just put this point maybe approximately where it is, but really what's going to put it into place is when I dimension that point. Again, I use this tool, Dimension. I click on the point, I click on the axis, and then I can type in the values. So this should be 38.9, and then this one will be 45.5. And I'm going to do that for all my points on my fin. So I'm almost done here. So 56.7 and 3.99. So I'm going to place my point, dimension it, and again that was 56.7. Almost got it perfectly on my placement, 56.7, and then vertically I want it to be 39.9. And then the last one, 68.6 and 0. So this one, as long as I put it on the x-axis here, now I can just dimension the distance it is away from there, and I want that to be 68.6. So now I have all the points for my shape all lined up. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to connect them with lines. So I just connect the dots. And now I have my sketch of my fin. So now I finish the sketch, right, our two-finger click on sketch 1 and export as a DXF. And again, this I can put onto one of the flash drives, and then I'll be able to take it over to one of the laser cutting computers. So I can say Gapinski fin, and I make sure it's a DXF. I'm going to download it, and I just hit export, and I'm done. That's it. That's how I can take my rocket, open rocket fin design, bring it into OnShape, and then export it as a DXF for cutting on the laser cutter.